What's up, ladies and gents in Cyberland? So today I'm coming to you with another Linkin Park review for pretty much my favorite album by the band, and just as much as Hybrid Theory, but this one is very special to me for a lot of reasons. Meteora. So, at this point, Meteora came out in 03. I was in college, and, well, actually it didn't come out yet. I remember, because of the whole downloading thing, that any clips that would show up online, people were going in a frenzy for this album. Like, people were so anticipating this. They were so excited. I was one of them. I couldn't wait for this album. It was one of the times where I was just like, man, like, oh. And then when you heard the album description, the descriptions of the songs, I was so excited. I remember I could not wait for this album. And when I heard Somewhere I Belong, like most of us, I was like, it had I think because of Excessive in the end, they released that as the first track because of reintroducing the band, and because In the End was such a big hit. It's not one of my top 5 songs on Hybrid Theory, however, it almost came in there, but neither here nor there. So, the song comes out, and some people may have felt a certain way, some people liked it, some people felt like, I don't know. I loved it. I was happy with it, and I especially liked the video because it showed like things like anime and such, Gundam in the video and such. And it was interesting to see because at first I was like, no, that can't be, and it was Mike was playing guitar because I remember I think he had played it in the Crawling video, but I always felt like, is he just playing it to just say I can play, or could he actually play? And when I saw that, I was shocked because I had, at that point, never saw Mike play guitar. And also the difference between Hybrid Theory and this one was that Phoenix, they call him that. He wasn't really part of he had recorded Hybrid Theory, however, for some reason he had left the band. So he's not in the artwork for the first album. However, he came back little right before Meteora and recording and everything, so he's in some of the videos for Hybrid Theory, and then in some videos he's not. So that was interesting. So technically Linkin Park is really a 6-piece. However, for Hybrid Theory's album art, it was only a 5-piece. And I think so. The song comes out. No other song comes out for a while, and I think there was a listening party for the album, and it wasn't that great because, at this point, they're trying to stop anybody from recording anything because record labels really feel like if people hear these songs, even though they're live, they're not going to buy the album. Like, give me a break. And I think I heard Faint, but it was couldn't really hear too much, but it was cool. And I heard another song, which I didn't know was Hit the Floor at the time, and then Somewhere I Belong, I heard that. I think that was it for the new tracks that I heard for that listening part that they had done. It was a really bad quality, but at the time I was like, hey, I'll take this, then I'll listen to this for right now until something else comes along because it's better than nothing. So, I think about a week before the album leaked, and of course I had it. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to buy this album, but I'm going to listen to it right now. And I remember Joseph, this is a shout out to you, sir. I got a call from my friend Joseph, and he had mentioned, let's go, and then my friend DJ and Mike, we were told that, hey, we can go down and get a signing of Meteora. It's a possibility, it's not a guarantee. So we went down to LA, and we stood in line for hours and hours and hours. And at a certain point, they just said, anybody who has a wristband, you can get an album signed. If you don't have one, you can't get it. And I was like, oh, man, we were down here for all these hours. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it was kind of funny because we just stayed in line. We were just like, well, let's just see. We didn't try to not try. And it was interesting when people kept pulling out and blasting the album, and I was just like smirking because I was just like, I already have the album. Because even when I was talking to people online, they were like, oh, I can't wait to hear it. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's a good album. And they're like, wait a minute, wait, well, what? And I was like, yeah, I've had the album for almost 2 weeks. And they were just shocked looking at me. They thought I was lying. I said, I said I love it. I love it better than Hybrid 3, which I do. It's my favorite Linkin Park album. And, you know, and then we waited and waited and waited, and then finally we were able to get in, and it was the only time I met the band. I'd never seen them perform live. And it was the only time I met them in person, and it wasn't a starstruck kind of situation like some people may get, and I can understand. It's very easy to fall into that. I talked to Rob, and I told Rob thank you for the album. He said thank you for buying it. And I talked to Joe, I didn't get to talk to. And I didn't get to talk to Phoenix. I didn't get to talk to Brad. But I did get to talk to Mike, Rob, and Chester. And with Mike, I told him that I was in, the lyricism was great, and he kind of looked at me, and he just knew, like, it was like he wasn't, like, he was like, well, he's already heard the album, but he's gonna buy it anyway. It was kind of like one of those things, you know. I told him that the album's great, I loved it, and it was just funny because he's looking at me like he's smiling, but he's kind of like, you already downloaded it. But I'm like, yeah, I downloaded it, but I'm buying it. You know, I'm still going to buy your work. I just, you know. But we never had that long conversation. And he just shook my hand and he said thank you. And then and Chester was the last person I talked to. And I remember telling him I appreciate his work. I'm happy that he continued to do what he does. He continued to do what he does, and please continue. It was a very interesting moment, and he said thank you. And at this point, I think Chester's head was I think he had a shaved head at this point, but he shook my hand, and he was the last person to sign the album. And after that, we left, and I had school at Cal State Long Beach at 7 in the morning, and I think it was a Wednesday. And that was, oh man. I had school in the morning from 7 until I think 12. Then I had to go to work. And then I had to come back to school from like 5 until 10 o'clock. Mind you, when we left LA for the album signing, which I still do have that. I have all the signatures for that album. And I had the deluxe edition where it had the CD and the DVD of making the album. I remember, so when we left, it was like, I think 1 or 2 in the morning. Maybe I got home, because I had to drop all my friends off, and we got home. I think I got home around 3. And at that point, I was like, I have to stay up. Because at the time I knew, if I don't stay up, I'm going to fall asleep, and I'm going to be in some deep crap. Because I can't miss these classes, because, you know, I think I had a test that day too. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, but I just remember walking around like in a daze kind of thing, like everything was kind of like woo. And I remember this one female from my class. She was like, "Are you okay?" I'm just like, And she's like, "Why are you walking around?" And then I pulled out my thing. It's like this, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, how did you?" You know, she was all ecstatic, like, "How did you get that?" And I told this story, and you know, it was a great feeling. So, yeah. So with that being said, and this is really hard too. Just like Green Day's Kerplunk, you know, there's other albums too when I get around to it, but with this album it's hard too. Rating 5 out of 5 yes sirs, hands down. If I could give it higher, I would. Love, not one track I don't like. Love this album. It's very special with everything. Getting the album signed, meeting the band, and just the songs. Everything was just hitting on all 5 cylinders with this album. It was, to me, people say it's Hybrid Part 2. I don't feel it was. I felt it was a step in another direction. Or even the band says it's like the brother-sister kind of thing. Like Hybrid's the sister, or Hybrid's the brother, and Meteora is the sister. I didn't feel that way. I loved everything about the album. I felt it was more aggressive. The guitars were even louder. Even the Joe playing, the DJing, the drum, everything was just more aggressive to me. It just felt, and even the sound that Joe did for the turntables and such was just great. The drumming, the bass, everything, the lyricism was, everything was great. My top 5 tracks is, of course, "Don't Stay." That's probably one of my favorite songs by the band, hands down. That's just one, like, everything about that song. "Somewhere I Belong," "Faint," "Line from You." Actually, "Line from You," then "Faint." And then it's always hard to do this. Sometimes I'll feel numb, and then sometimes I feel hit the floor and figure .8 or figure .9. So I gotta go with "Hit the Floor." I just love Mike's rapping. I love the music in there. I know "Numb" is a great song too, and "Breaking the Habit." When I look back on the album too, I feel "Breaking the Habit" was the one song that really it's good that they, like, "Numb" and "Breaking the Habit" are really the shining moments of this album, because it opened the door to what the band can do further down the road, and what they were willing to, pushing those little envelopes, adding things, not going too far off the deep end with their fans, but pushing the envelope. So yeah, and of course, the other thing is, now looking back on everything that's happened with the band and stuff, it's kind of like, even with this album, even though the song "Nobody's Listening" is more so Mike, however, now I get an eerie feeling when I listen to it now, especially with Chester singing the chorus. And again, I will continue to open up that as I get further into the other albums and such. So with that being said, let's cue the music.
Sometimes I need to remember just to breathe. Sometimes I need you to stay away from me.